You can follow along with me on page 90. We need to turn this decimal, 0.45, into a fraction. Now I gave a chart up above to show you the place values for each number. 4 is in the tenths position and 5 is in the hundredths position. So if I want to turn this into a fraction, I simply write 45 1/100ths. That's 45 hundredths, and that's exactly what we have right here. Now, our last step is to simplify 45 1/100ths. Well, if I look at this, I want to find a number that will go into both. I look at 45 and I look at 100. What number goes into both of them? Well, I know that I can divide both 45 and 100 by 5. When I do this, 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. So my answer in simplest form is 9/20ths. So the decimal 0.45 equals that. Once again, I am asked to turn 1.125 into a fraction. It is now in decimal form. So to do this, I see that there is a 1 in front of the decimal point. So I know my answer will contain a 1. So that means I will have a mixed number when I do this. Now, let's just look at 0.125. If I look at that, I have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So I know I have 125 thousandths. So we write that out. 125 over 1,000. Once again, our next step is just to simply simplify it. So what goes into 125 and 1,000? Looking at this to simplify, I see that 125 goes into both of them. So I can divide both the top and bottom by 125. When I do this, 125 divided by 125 is 1. 1,000 divided by 125 is 8. So I have 1/8 when I simplify that. Now I need to put it all together. I have this 1 and then 1/8. So 1.125 is the same as saying 1 and 1/8 in fractional form. This is letter E on page 91. Your code for this chapter has to deal with transportation. So the code for today is car. We are asked to turn 3/5 into a decimal. To do this, we take our top number, which is 3, and put that inside the division sign, and then we put 5, which is the denominator, outside. Well, I know 5 can't go into 3, so I need to turn this in to a decimal. I have to add a point and add a 0. Remember, you need to put the point directly above the division sign, and then I ask, how many times can 5 go into 30? Well, looking at this, I know that 5 can go into 30 6 times. 5 times 6 is 30, and when I subtract, I get 0. I have a no remainder, so I know my answer is simply 0.6. So turning 3/5 into a decimal is simply just 0.6. My next step is to take 14/25 and turn that into a decimal. This is letter F on page 91. So to do this, once again, I put 14 inside the division symbol because the top number or the numerator always goes on the inside. And then I put the 25 on the outside. Well, I know that 25 can't go into 14, so I have to add a 0. And whenever I add a 0 in this case, I have to put a decimal point. My decimal point moves straight up, and I can think, how many times can 25 go into 140? Well, I know it can go in 5 times. 5 times 25 is 125. When I subtract, I'm going to need to borrow. So then I get 10 minus 5, which is 5, and 3 minus 2, which is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Now, I can't have a remainder because I have a decimal point, so I have to add a 0 and keep going. 25 can go into 150 6 times. 6 times 25 is 150. I get a 0. That means I have no remainder, so I can stop. My answer is 0.56, or 56 hundredths. 14 25ths goes into a decimal as 0.56.